Okay, folks, good morning. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me well. We're going to look at welcome to the 10-Minute Trades Trade Room. I want to welcome our YouTube friends out there as well. Sign up for our YouTube channel if you'd like to, and give us a like on these videos. We stream our trade room 3 to 4 times a week. Just remember that it's delayed a little bit when you're watching on YouTube, so I would not trade. I would not trade from a delay on YouTube, but I would watch it and you can learn a lot from it. So welcome to the 10-Minute Trades Trading Room. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director. Please remember that all trades we discuss are for educational purposes, and it is possible to lose money trading futures. Chantal, I'm not going to be able to meet after this room. I have an emergency. I'm going to have to leave. Okay, folks, so the first trade is I call this a semi-official trade. Let me tell you why. This is a trade that I found that before the world crisis. And you know why I use the word world crisis instead of the other words is because if we ever want to monetize these videos, that YouTube doesn't allow you to monetize videos if you say certain words. So I don't want to interfere with my company's ability to be able to monetize videos in the future. We don't really do it now, but I just want to be honest about why I sometimes say things the way I say it. Let me just get the sound down. My family has had so many issues this past couple of months. So I do want to apologize every now and then if I have to leave early or something. My daughter had massive major surgery. My ex-wife just had massive major surgery also. And I'm a real family kind of person. So I try to be there. I probably could be better with my ex-wife, to be honest, but everybody else, I'm really good. So I probably can't do the revised. I was going to do the revised University of Michigan room today. It's a no trade. It's just a watch. I may not be able to stay. I'm not sure. So let's talk about Chicago PMI. So Chicago PMI it's a private trade. It's a trade that I found. That's why I call it an unofficial trade. My boss basically took my testing and we're trading off my testing. And I want to be truthful. There's a couple of trades I don't really like. And Chicago PMI is one of the trades, even though I found it, I don't like it that much. It's been a little bit inconsistent. Let me show you last month. It's a private report, meaning that what happens is at 9:42, people that pay for the news, they get the news 3 minutes earlier than the public. They pay. So the news actually comes out at 9:42. That's why we kind of say it's under the radar on the DMM. And the trade, the real trade, is at 9:42, not at 9:45. And last month, and you can see it. I mean, unfortunately, my brackets were so tiny last month, and it did work. Now, this is such a small trade that, and look at the way it didn't really follow through. It hit our tiny little targets, but last month, you may have just been trading on gold's trend also. But it did, in all truth, it did look to me like that was, even though it's hard to tell because my brackets were too tight, it does look like a news trade. 9:42, it jerks down a little bit, just like a news trade does. Then there's a secondary trade at 9:45 that's very inconsistent. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't usually trade that second trade. I mean, I don't trade the second trade. But that's the public trade where you get the news. And now you see it was just following the trend last month because the news, it's hard to say. The news was positive, so gold's supposed to go down, but look at the trend. And that's the other reason why I don't like this trade, being honest. It trades at 9:45. The markets are barely open. So unless gold is very calm at 9:45, I'm generally not even interested in taking the trade. Okay. I only want to take it if gold is calm. If gold is crazy, then I would just usually pass on the trade. If it's too, sometimes the market is just too volatile to take the trade because of the time of the trade. Most of the time, it's tradable. I mean, that's the truth. Most of the time, it is tradable. So last month, it looked like it would have worked, and it kind of looked like it would have worked in the right direction. Not kind of, it did. Let's look at it one more time. But because I don't love this trade psychologically, in other words, you can have trades that psychologically are your nemesis or are difficult for you or you don't like. And if you have trades like that, you don't have to trade them. I mean, you trade what you like, trade what you want. I'm a human. I'm not anybody special. I'm just like you all. I have things that cause me, and it might even be irrational, right? It might be irrational. I'm sorry, I'm looking at 10 o'clock. It's irrational in the sense that there's no reason to dislike a trade unless it just doesn't work all the time. That's a whole other thing. There's two trades that I don't like. And one of them I'm kind of liking now because it's been working so well. That's what we call the press conference trade that's coming up in about 2 weeks. Um, Here is the 9:45 version of last month. Now remember, it worked. Both trades worked last month, and the news had a very good offset. But you don't know about that offset until the 9:45 trade. The 9:42 trade is blind. In other words, you have no idea what's going to happen in that trade because it's subscribers get the data 3 minutes early. So we don't know. All you can do is look for the result and see if it gives you a news move at 9:42. If you don't get a news move at 9:42 fairly quickly, then I would most probably cancel the trade. Maybe wait until 9:45 and try it at 9:45. So you're dealing with a risk of $160 on this trade. 8 ticks is your stop, okay? The bracket is 5. I might consider, because of the volatility of the current markets, I might consider a slightly bigger bracket. I'd rather not get filled than get filled on the wrong side. You know the routine. So I'm going to set my trades up early, and then I may not trade them depending on what the market looks like. So let's set it up according to the DMI. I only trade it if it appears safe. Now, the other thing we could do, now see, this does not fall under the category trade one contract no matter what, because this is my trade. So this is really an unofficial trade. The person who creates the daily market movers doesn't see this report as a very tradable report. That's now some of the small trades that I've found have been fantastic. the world crisis has made quite a few of them more troublesome. But as time goes by, we're going to start seeing them come back. Okay? Because that's the nature of the markets. This crisis is ending, it looks like. I mean, I think and hope that the crisis is ending. We could debate politically why it's ending, but if you look to Israel, you know, most of the people are getting vaccinated, and all of their hospital rates are rapidly falling out there that, you know, subscribe to some theories that say the vaccines are killing people, but no, I don't subscribe to that. If we can't trust our scientists in a pandemic, we're doomed anyway. So either you don't have to take the vaccine. What scientists believe is if you don't, the chances of mutations are greater. So the less people that get vaccinated, the greater chance of mutations, if you believe what the scientists are saying. You know, I happen to believe what scientists say. That's what I do. So 5, my first target is 4. And I don't mean to go on a political issue, but I don't even know how I got started on this. Oh, I was just talking about the trades getting better as the crisis ends. I do believe the crisis is going to end. I do believe that what's going to ultimately end the crisis will be enough people getting vaccinated and creating a proper herd immunity, not herd immunity based on the death of extra people, but herd immunity based on getting people properly vaccinated. Look, it's why mumps, measles, you know, those are vaccines. People don't go crazy over those. So let's, you know, if you can't trust the scientists, who are we going to trust? Who are we going to trust? Entry time is 9:41. 9:41:59. Should it be 42? Last month, if you were at 9, whoops, I'm losing my mind, folks. I'm a little bit distracted. Sorry. I keep loading the wrong video. Last month, I'm just looking at the time entry. Was 9:42 safe, or did we have to go in a little bit early? 9:42 is safe. You could see you're at 9:42, and the move takes place more than a second after. So it looks like 9:42 is safe. How about the week after? The month before, I mean. The month before was November. You don't count December because it was December 23rd. That's a Christmas trade. Rules get thrown out the window if you're going to trade Christmas week. It just is not. The rules aren't the same. Volume is totally different. Trading is totally different. 9:42 is clearly safe over the past 2 months. If I get 3 in a row, I'm going to enter at 9:42. If I get 3 out of 4, I'll probably enter at 9:42. And that's why I love the trade rooms. We get to look and watch. 42 is safe with great regularity. Let's just for fun, let's see if we get 4 in a row. The reason I love the trade room is looking at the videos is our form of technical analysis. This is our GAN, if you call it. This is 9:42 is safe again. This is our Elliott wave, right? This is our Fibonacci, if you follow me. 9:42 looks perfectly fine. I'd rather enter at the time of the report so I don't get pulled in early. If I get pulled in early, I'll cancel the trade. And last month it worked. If it doesn't work fast, I won't wait 20 seconds. I'll probably only wait 10. Okay. I will probably only wait 10. So I've got a bracket of 6. Okay. I've got a bracket of 6. To make up for my change in bracket, I'm going to shorten my first target from 4 to 3. That way, the same move will get me filled. Okay. I increased my bracket by 1. I shrunk my target by 1 in this case because this is not a big mover. My second target is 10. It's a breakout trade. Our entry is 942. Like I said, if I don't get a fast fill, I'll probably cancel. And I'm labeling at 942, Chicago PMI. You know, this is a trade, folks. I would probably not trade it with my family's money, just so you know. It's not that it's terrible. It's not that the risk is so high that, you know, that it's certainly not awful, but it's not a big winner trade. It's just not in the top 10 of trades that I like. Okay. So let's be honest. The trades that I like, most of them we made money on this week. Almost everybody made money on the bond trades. A couple of folks had some problems on that trade. One certainly that I know of, and that was an ultra fast trade, sort of like last week's 20-year bond trade. We made money on our oil trades. Natural gas, unfortunately, is not behaving itself at all these days. Natural gas has given us like a month now of troubled trading. So natural gas is on one contract maximum, if not maybe take a couple of weeks off to see what's going on. Okay. When a report, let's check our time and make sure we're in sync. I forgot to do it in front of you. I apologize. So I'll do it again. You go to the website time.is. Okay. Go to the website time.is. And in most cases, in all cases, it will try to put your computer in sync. And if it succeeds, it will give you this message: your time is exact. If your time is off, then there's a program in the file folder in the trade room. It's hard for me to move it over. In this folder, there is a file, and it's called D4 Time. Download it and you can install it, and it's a sync program. And also my clock is in there right here. This clock is called Topmost Clock. You can download that as well. Okay. And I've got to use that file folder more and put more things in it for you all that you would enjoy. And if you ask permission and you want to post something, just ask permission before you post it. And there's no reason why everybody can't use the file folder. Okay. There's nothing wrong with using the technology we have at our disposal. It's fun and helpful. Fun and helpful. There's a lot of people here, so it's another reason why I'm kind of willing to trade this. A lot of people got up early on a Friday. Some folks in California, California, it's 6:30 in the morning. And yeah, Mike, I forget where you live, Mike. Where are you? Oh, you are in California. Okay. So yeah, it's early for you all. So I'm watching the ES also. This is generally not a big enough move that you would get a reversal trade off of this, to be truthful. Okay. So I've got a 6-tick bracket. And again, if the news, we're not going to see a result on the first trade. After the first trade, I'm going to set up a second simulated trade for the live trade, because the results of the live 945 trade have been quite inconsistent. The real trade, in my opinion, it has always been at 942. 942. Mark, I assume you're always up at 4:30 because you like trading those early markets. That's what I assume. California people, you just have to get up early if you want to trade the early markets. It is what it is. You have no choice. Oh, miracle morning routine. I never heard of that. Is that like training and exercise, Mark? Is that training and exercise? And meditating. Let me explain what my training routine is. In the morning, I wake up, I go to the refrigerator, and I get as much bacon as I can and eggs, and I eat like 5,000 pounds of cholesterol. And that's my training in the morning. My lunchtime training is a hamburger. No, I'm teasing. You probably want to eat healthy. Having a healthy body makes a healthy mind, and that makes a healthy trader, right? It's a little bit corny, but it's probably true. It's probably true. I try to eat healthy. I fail at night. That's my big problem. I fail at night. Dinner kills me. Dinner kills me. So we're going to see. My bracket might be just way too big. It might be way too big, but I don't want it ultra small like it was last week. So at 942, if we don't get a move, I'll cancel. All right. Now we don't really, gold again is down big, but in the past half hour, it recovered from the lows, made new lows, but you gotta, what is going on with gold? Gold is been getting crushed all week. Ah, okay. I remember you told me, Mark, that you play basketball. I cannot play basketball. I never could play basketball. Never was a good basketball player. Played a lot of baseball, softball, played some tennis. I always liked sports, but never really had much time for it. I was doing music. Didn't have a lot of time for sports in my life. Always liked playing though. Jogged, did a lot of running, private personal exercising my whole life. Always enjoyed exercising. See, it's pretty volatile here. Pretty volatile. So I hate to cancel the trade. See, look at the ES, it's pretty volatile also. So here's what I think, folks. I think because gold is acting so erratic, and this trade is so small, okay, that it might just, and that's a pretty big move before the trade. You're looking 1757, a 20 tick move in gold. It might. Here's the other thing. It may just shoot down no matter what the news is because gold is shooting down. So I guess I'm going to take the risk because, well, look at that. Look at that move. Look at that move. I mean, gold is just dropping down. The report would have to be so monstrous to overtake this move in gold. Now, see how it slowed down? It got very slow. I've got my finger on the cancel button. That's the truth. I've got my finger on the cancel. No response. That's so it shot down. I moved my stop to break even because I didn't want to get caught in a reversal. So I just made 3 ticks, okay? I just made 3 ticks. We don't know what the news is, okay? We're assuming that the news is positive, okay? Because gold shot down. So I'm going to set up that second trade, okay? But I'm not doing it live. Remember what I said. I just don't feel the second trade is consistent enough. So I didn't, I kept my trade on. All I have to do is change my time. The trade time is now 9:45. That's the live version of the trade, okay? That's the live version of the trade. But I'm not trading it live because I don't feel that the 9:45 version has been consistent enough. The 9:42 version has been, okay? But you saw I protected my profit by moving my stop to break even. And I have absolutely no, we'll watch the video when we're done. I have absolutely no regrets when I do that, okay? Let's check. I'm going to check my strategy. And it's going to be hard to see because I'm not taking off my trade. All right. And it should be labeled 9:45. You know what? I have enough time. I'm quick. Our trade setup is exactly the same. The only difference is time. The bracket, let's go back to the 5 bracket and the 4 target on the main trade. Our entry time is 9:45. Like I said, inconsistency makes me not trade both of them live. I traded the first one live. So now we'll see what our trade result is. I believe the data is positive because gold went down initially at 9:42 and it hit our first target, then it pulled back up. Then it looks like maybe it would have hit that second target if I didn't move my target to break even. But we'll watch that in the video. It's very difficult to trade what I call a blind trade. A blind trade is a trade that we just went through. It's a trade that's private. We don't know what the results are. So now we have the real trade. The news was negative, okay? The news was negative. Gold has such a strong trend down, though. Can it push up? No. So it could not overcome the downward pressure of gold's trend this morning. That's why I don't trade the second number. We got lucky that we were able to grab a few ticks on the first move, okay? Let's look at Revised University of Michigan. That's why we're here. Also, that's a watch on our schedule. What does that mean? That means it's a trade that does not offer enough profit to trade it live, okay? Chicago PMI, it was worth the risk. We took a risk. We only made 3 ticks, but it's okay. I mean, if it didn't cooperate. If it cooperates, then you make more money. I mean, it's just very simple, folks. If you get the cooperation, you make more money. So the next trade that we're looking at is revised University of Michigan. Revised means this trade already took place, and it already took place 2 weeks ago, roughly 10 days ago. The real version of the trade, if I remember correctly, did not work. That doesn't mean that this version is not going to work. It just means that the data we're trading off is not as meaningful as the original data. Preliminary data is much more powerful data for a news event or for an event like we trade. So 9:45, University of Michigan, we're trading gold, all right? Same instrument. It's almost the same setup, to be honest. I'm going to reset my account to 0 because this one I'm not trading live and I don't want it to confuse us. Why am I not trading this live on the calendar? Everybody knows it's a watch, okay? It's intentionally being watched. Chicago PMI was live, okay? We had a risk rating. DMM, yes, we had a mini DMM. If there's a mini DMM, then that's a reason to trade live. If the report is behaving, okay? That's the key, if the report is behaving. So Chicago, Revised University of Michigan is a very similar setup. I would use a bracket of 5. Now, Revised University of Michigan is an inflation report and it's a consumer confidence report. I think because what's been going on in the markets this week I think inflation has been popping up this week. The bonds are up. If you look at the mortgage rates, what I meant to say is the mortgage rates have burst. So I'm looking for 4 ticks and 12 ticks in my move, okay? If this was a well-behaved report, I would trade 2 contracts for my first 4 ticks, right? Well-behaved reports, when your first target is small, you want to trade an extra contract. It's a 10 o'clock entry, this trade, 10 o'clock entry. I'm going to label it Revised University of Michigan. It's not the main data. Why do I think this could be possibly a report that works? A, I think consumer confidence is going up because I think, just remember, bracket of 5, 2 contracts for 4 ticks, 1 contract for 12 ticks, a stop of 10. Consumer confidence is going up, an entry time of 10 o'clock, and a breakout trade. Consumer confidence, I believe, is going up. I believe confidence is going up because people are feeling that we are reaching the end of this nightmare. And I think inflation, here's what I think could be troublesome about this trade. If inflation is popping up, that could be a negative, right? Although rates are so low, if you think about it, a little bit of inflation, I think, would actually be good. So I think there's so much potential. I think there's just more potential for this trade to work than for it not to work. It doesn't mean that I'm still going to trade it live because it really hasn't returned profits, okay? That's why it's on watch. Last month, let me record it. This is what it looked like. Hang on, I have to set up my recording first. Let me see if I can get my recorder to work properly. Sometimes it just won't. If I start it from scratch, it may work. Okay. If you have a recording going while you're setting up the recorder, snag it. It will not let you do it. So you have to make sure you do not have a recording going if you're a Snagit user. All right, you could see there's just a monstrous gold trend. Is it trending because of the Chicago PMI news? No, I don't believe so. That's not such an important report that it would make gold go down that many dollars, $10 in a couple of minutes. We didn't know that if we didn't move our stop, we would have a huge trade like that. There's no way you can possibly know that. Sometimes we get advantage of that, like yesterday's bond trade. It exploded down, and many of us were able to take advantage of it. But today's trade, no way to know. Let's check our setup. Revised University of Michigan. It's revised data. I think it might be a good trade because of the information I said. Bracket of 5, 2 contracts for 4 ticks, 1 contract for 12 ticks, an entry time of 10 o'clock, and it's a breakout trade. But this trade is on watch. And why is it on watch? It's on watch because it hasn't given us enough profit. Last month, it traded with pending homes. It almost doesn't count because you have 2 reports that could affect each other, okay? And this trade just barely hit the bracket and then reversed and didn't work. But you did have agreeable information. So it might have been that just the setup wasn't good. The bracket, maybe a little bit bigger bracket, would be smarter for this trade. That's what you're seeing in one trade. You don't make a decision on changing a setup based on one trade ever. You need a trend, right? A trend to me is at least 3 months or 3 weeks of trades before I'll even consider changing anything. December 23rd, it was a no fill. No surprise there. Christmas, November, Revised University of Michigan. So last month it did not work. Now look at all the news in November, and this was also Thanksgiving. You wouldn't have traded this, okay? It's just too much darn news. In that University of Michigan also is not a strong enough report to be the dominant news report when New Homes is in the game. Also, New Homes is fairly strong. And look, with all that news, it was officially a canceled trade. That's what's so wacky about trading events. You never know 100% of the time what's going to happen, and it's challenging. You have to be on your toes. Then if we look at October, at least we have a Michigan revised trading by itself, so it's a legitimate test. And it's actually called final data, not revised, but it's the same thing. Very good news in October and a very, very minimal move, and it should go down and it doesn't do anything. Another canceled trade. Point being is that revised University of Michigan not giving us profit opportunity. That's why it's on watch. That's why it's on watch. Mike, I traded that live. Oh, if we might have been stopped out. I'm not positive, Mike. So absolutely correct me, folks. Don't ever be afraid to correct me in the room if I say something you don't agree with, like Mike just did. If Mike was testing it in a different way, he may know something I don't know yet because I haven't analyzed it yet. I was just looking at this move. With this move, you can't necessarily see whether it moved up in this move to stop you out. So don't forget that. You can't just always use your eye to guess what happens in a trade. That's why replay is important, especially after a trade. Time.is, website we go to get ourselves in sync before the trade. So, Mike, thank you for, just keep me on my toes. Folks, you're never going to insult me by correcting me in the trade room. Okay? Never. So we've got 2.5 minutes. We'll see. Maybe University of Michigan will work today. It's final data. All right. Final data. And University of Chicago PMI, gold is moving the wrong direction. It's bad news. Gold should be going up in theory if this was all a news move. It's not a news move, it's a trend. Gold's down 300 ticks. It's down like $30 since 6 o'clock last night. Okay. Gold's down like 30 bucks. You can change this indicator for gold. It's the net change display to show you in currency if you want to. Look how much gold, $30 could be a $3,000 trade. That's a lot, right? Now, I like my indicator to be ticks or points normally, ticks or points. Because that I can relate to. So we've got a bracket of 5 or 6. I forgot what I set. What did we set? Bracket of 5. And remember what I said. This is a watched trade. I just figured let's stay in the trade room an extra 15 minutes to watch a trade that maybe in a couple of months we may start trading it again. Or not so much again, but maybe it'll start to behave and we'll have an extra trade. That's what I'm always looking for. Now, if you stick around for a minute, I'll show you next week's schedule. Next week is busy. But I'll show you some things on the schedule that you should be aware of because it might be busier than what the schedule looks like. All right, so let's see what's going to happen here with the University of Michigan. Are we going to get a move? Is it going to be able to overpower this incredible trend in gold? So it probably filled almost before the news came out. Now, this is a trade that some people might trade it just because you're trading the gold trend, right? You can trade that just as a gold trend trade. If you want to totally break all our rules, right? If you break all our rules, you could look what gold is doing, and you could say to yourself, let me risk this trade just as a gold trend trade. Has nothing to do with the news. In this particular case, the news was good, which helps gold keep moving down. But okay, look, yes, it worked, but did it work because of the news or did it work because of the trend? Let's look at the video. I believe we're dealing with a monstrous gold trend this morning. And we got lucky to get 3 ticks out of Chicago PMI. That's what I think. So here is University of Michigan, revised. Today is the 26th, and here's the trade. Now, remember what I said. I think it has value. If you like risk, you can watch gold dropping for the past hour, right? Or the past since the open, right? Gold's been dropping strong. Gold's been dropping strong. Here's the trade this morning. So you could trade this, forget the report, just trade it as a move down. If you get filled long, cancel the trade, right? You don't want to be going long when the index is dropping like a rock, do you? No. You don't want to be going long when an index is dropping like a rock. There are exceptions. Oil reports, jobs reports, CPI reports, the big reports. So there was a fill, fortunately, to the short side. It hit the first target and filled it right away. And then, because I believe positive news and a powerful gold trend to the downside, very strong chance that trade would have worked. Not so much because of an event trade, but because of the behavior of the market. You can take a risk and do a market behavior trade. And that's a discretionary trade, though. Keep in mind, that's a discretionary trade, okay? And all indexes are dropping according to Chantal. So let's take a quick look. Let me show you the schedule for next week. But a quick look at the ES. Listen, the markets have been going up for like 7 years straight. They have to correct. The ES opened, dropped, right? It opened at 930. It chopped around a bit, and then it found a negative direction. The NQ, I'm sure, is down. Looks like the same chart. You can bet the YM will look like the same chart. Whoops. It does. Markets are down. All right. Not going to talk about why they are. For us, it doesn't really matter. For us, we have to figure out. So if we have a dropping market on gold, I'm going to start taking some of these trades that we would not normally take as a news or an event trade. I'm going to try a couple as a trend event. You could call it a trend event. All right. And it's a trend event, and it's an event you could try to trade if your account's big enough to take the risk. Okay? Something to think about. Something to think about. Let's look at next week's schedule. Still a lot of folks here. Right, Mark, you've been trading that way forever. I know you trade that way, Mark. That's one of the things Mark does. Mark is a discretionary trader as well as does some news trading also. Next week's schedule. Right, like today, our trade was pennies, but a trend event could be dollars, right? So I think we have to start thinking occasionally about different ways to trade. Nothing wrong with adding different ways to trade. So it's up to me to recognize on days where there's a monstrous trend, especially in gold, especially seems to work with gold, just anecdotally from watching in the trade room. Next week, we have a Sunday night trade room live trade, China Kaishan, okay, manufacturing. That's a Chinese manufacturing report. Last month, it had a decent move, so I'll have a trade room, a short one, Sunday night. Monday, you could watch the British final manufacturing report. Now, the reason this is on watch, the US final manufacturing, is I need to do a little testing. There's an outside possibility that could get traded. Unofficial report, there's no DMM. The DMM is for ISM manufacturing. That's a major report next week. Okay? That's a major report Monday. That's a 9:30 trade room. Monday night, if you want to watch Australia building approvals, it's not been moving much in a long time. The rate statement, I think that there's a potential for a trade there. All right. Rate statements are moving markets. So do some back testing and you might have a reversal trade there. That's how I would look at that. Canada GDP had a real nice move last month. I'm going to do a trade room and I'm going to trade that on Tuesday. New York ISM business conditions, it's sort of like Chicago PMI, has elements of inconsistency. We've never traded it. We've looked at it once or twice in the room. It's on watch. API and Australia GDP, two trades I'll take on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll trade the ADP report. Love that report. Wednesday, it's an early trade, 8:15 in the morning, Eastern time. Then we have ISM services. We did not have a setup for it last month or the month before. Last month, because it has not been performing. Chantal's been doing some testing. We have a test possibly of a range trade. I put it on watch, but if I have enough time to test that range trade, because it's a brand new setup, it's an unofficial setup, there might be a trade there. If we're willing to take the risk. If we're willing to take the risk, there might be a trade there. Same thing with final services. It's all a question of enough time to do some extra testing. Crude oil, we're trading. Beige book hasn't been behaving well. If it gives us one more bad trade, I'll probably look for a new setup, but I'll probably trade it Wednesday with one contract. Australia retail sales and trade balance. They ruined Australia retail sales by splitting it into two reports. They now have an interim Australia retail and they have a monthly Australia retail. That ruined Australia retail, so we don't trade it right now. Thursday, we have our unemployment claims and natural gas. I'm still trading natural gas. I believe it'll come back. We had a year of good natural gas trades, but right now it's on one contract, quick cancels, quicker than yesterday. And then my personal favorite report, scariest report that we ever had, but the best report in our history, best moneymaker, best loser, biggest moneymaker, U.S. jobs report. Now, believe it or not, if you like a report with less risk, the Canadian jobs report moves that Canadian dollar like a banshee. You can trade that report. And if you are interested in trading that Canada jobs report, let me show you something. Or I'll tell you what, you send me an email at help@10minutetrades.com. Test it this month, but I'll send you a setup that you can use. I'll find an old setup for Canada jobs report. If you're interested in a lower risk trade than US jobs, I can tell you definitively that the Canada jobs report is a potential reversal trade because there will be a big candle move and there's a potential breakout there. So if you send an email to help@10minutetrades.com, over the course of the next couple of days, I'll send you a DMM that we used to use to trade the Canada jobs report as a breakout trade. If you're interested, if you're not, and you just want to trade the US jobs report with us in sim or live, That's one of my all-time favorite trades, as difficult as it is. It's still one of my all-time favorites. So that's next week's schedule. A lot of exciting trades next week. Any questions, folks? Any questions? Yes, KW, you can trade the Canada jobs report and the US jobs report at the same time. With NinjaTrader 8, you could have bonds. If you really want to do it safe, you could put bonds. Remember, bonds have rolled. So it would be 0621 on ZN. You could trade ZN on the left, and you could trade 6C on the right. And you could set two separate trades up. The idea, obviously, if you're going to do two separate trades, make your targets kind of small so that at least one of the trades you get taken out of the trade. So if one of them or both of them are complicated, you have the ability to manage one of them if you need to. The risk in trading two reports at the same time is both reports are complicated, okay? Both reports are complicated, and it could be an issue of managing the trades. The margin on the Canadian dollar KW is very small. So I'm guessing you're with Ninja KW. So let's Google Ninjatrader Margins. It's a great question. Ninjatrader Margins. So the first thing we're looking at, let's see which comes up first. The 6C, the day trade margin, intraday is only $500 a contract, okay? Very, very low. Gold, I'm guessing it's 2,000 to 3,000 with Ninja. 2,000 a contract. So, you know, if you have a $6,000 contract, you could trade two contracts of gold and a couple of contracts of the 6C, and you should fall within the margins, okay? You could trade one contract. If you have a $5,000 contract, that would eat up 2,000 and 500. Trade, figure 1,000 on Canada, trade two contracts for a breakout of like 10 to 15 ticks, 10 to 12 ticks, okay? So KW margin is doable, absolutely doable for US jobs, and certainly KW, if you trade bonds, the bond margin, ZN, is 500, I believe, at worst. It's 1,000. So if you like risk and you want to trade two trades in one shot, there are two trades that could both work. It's possible. Definitely possible. All right, folks. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. And our next trade room event, let's look at the schedule one more time. Sunday night, I don't have to look. Sunday night, okay, Chantal, I will. Sunday night, 8:30, right? Is that what we said? Sunday night, let's double check. Kaishin, Sunday night, 8:30 is our next trade room. And it's only a half-hour trade room at the most. At the most. Quick trade. All right. I got to set up the streams. Okay. Okay, Chantal. Maybe we'll do that to make up for one of the other ones. Okay. Any questions, folks? Anybody out there that wants to ask me anything before we go? Anybody? If not, I mean, look, this morning was, in my opinion, it was successful. We only made $30, but almost every trade we took this week, except for natural gas, made money. Almost every trade made money because we're trading very, very selectively. Very selectively. I was too selective. If we look at the week and if we take a look back, decisions you would make better. One contract on Thursday, the unemployment GDP news, could have traded that. That was one decision I'd like to take back. Trade one contract when there's a ton of news. So there were a couple of trades, existing homes, okay? A couple of trades that worked that we didn't take. We had way more winners this week than troublesome trades for people that took them. Just because I don't trade a trade doesn't mean you can't, okay? Doesn't mean you should always be afraid. If I say a trade is safe, you can take it. If I don't take it, usually there still are people that trade. Plenty of people trade if I don't. All right. Everybody have an awesome weekend. Chantal, I think I can talk. I got to talk to my son for 5 minutes, okay? It looks like I can meet you in 5 minutes. Okay? Okay, folks, awesome weekend, everybody. I'll see everybody Sunday night. Take care.